Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 25th episode of the Forward Pass podcast. We've got myself, I'm in Pittsburgh in my sister's room. We got Luke Duska in Haverford, right outside Philadelphia, PA. And we got Sam Perry back in Austin, back into the corporate world. He's swamped with emails, but still found a way to be here with us tonight. And we thank him for that. Caleb Archer will be jumping on the podcast from Buford, Georgia in just a second. Family dinner had to take precedence, which we get because we're not revenue generating yet. But let's start here. Miami beat Ohio State 24-14 on January 31st, the last football game of 2025. Um, what an absolute what an incredible win for the Miami program, for the U, for Mario Cristobal, who's had this thing humming in the right direction, and then all of a sudden the Cam Ward, they don't have a defense, and then this year they lose two ACC games, and you think, like I don't know if they're going to be able to get in with Louisville and SMU losses, but this is what happens when you expand the college football field, the college football playoff field, because in any other year they would have not had the chance to get right and find this groove. And all of a sudden, they got a chance to find this groove. The trenches were obviously a strength in this game for Miami. One thing I wanted to look at is and wanted to talk about is just how they effectively ran the football, and they've been able to do this all year. And it's not just their linemen are they do get downhill, and they have super physical linemen. The linemen take care of the five hats they can take care of, but their receivers are also integral in the run game. They block their ass off. Malachi Tony, for a freshman, throws his body in there. They motion him in to crack safeties, crack linebackers, even crack defensive ends from time to time. And then, dude, their running backs just get downhill. Mark Fletcher is so hard to tackle. Could somebody what's that? The back, even the other back can really get downhill. So they went for 4.1 a carry, and running the football and throwing the football. It's a team assignment, and they just looked so impressive doing that. I mean, Ohio State is such a good football team, but they kind of just ran into a buzzsaw. And I thought Julian Sand played pretty efficient, pretty well for the amount of pressure he got. Dude, they lined up Ruben Bain and Mesidor on the same side. Ruben Bain as at three tech a lot, just rushing guards, and dude, they looked really good. Obviously, the Keontae Scott pick six was another huge play in the game. That obviously that's I wouldn't put that on saying like. Jeremiah Smith kind of took a bad angle to block Keontae Scott, could have stayed more square, and then Keontae Scott makes you pay. But I don't think this is a detriment. I don't think this is um, a detriment on Ohio State or a flawed performance from them. I think they just ran into a really good Miami team who's somewhat of a buzzsaw right now. What say you guys?
Yeah, going off your buzzsaw statement, this is not exactly similar, but it's very similar to a team like Ohio State last year that kind of had a few lapses, but had NFL talent all over the field on both offense and defense. And you're kind of seeing Miami right now peak at the right time. Talk about the game. First off, you mentioned it with lining up Ruben Bain and Metzler on the same side. Charlie, we were watching this together. We mentioned that a couple times while we were watching. Game ball to Corey Heatherman, the Miami defensive coordinator. I feel like they just had Julian Sain in hell all night. That pass rush was elite. We kind of thought that that could be something to monitor in this game with Ohio State not really facing a defense to that caliber. Just like another few sneaky parts of this game, Miami's offense, while it did have a lot of short fields based off of turnovers, were sneaky, really efficient. They went 7 for 14, 50% on third down, and were able to average 4.5 yards a carry for 153 rushing yards. And Ohio State had only 45. We're going to get into Miami's rush defense a little bit later when we preview the Ole Miss game, but I mean, just an absolute defensive clinic. And yeah, like I said, you're watching a team peak at the right time. Beck only one interception, which is good on his accord. And I mean, outside of two sloppy quarters of football that cost Miami losses, like this is an elite team, and they're peaking at the right time, and it's gonna be really exciting for this Ole Miss matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I just echo basically what you two have been saying. And just want to admit how off I was in the prediction leading up to this game. I basically hung my hat on the fact that I didn't think Miami would be able to run the football at all against Ohio State, and they did very successfully. Mark Fletcher had 90 yards on 19 carries, and whenever they needed to get 4 or 5 yards out of Fletcher, they could pretty much get it at will. And in postseason games like this, when it really comes down to it, your trenches are going to carry your team to a win or a loss. And if you get completely annihilated in the trenches, like we'll talk about it with Alabama and Indiana as well. If you get completely annihilated on both sides of the ball, then you're not really going to have a chance of winning. And Miami had a clear and distinct advantage on both sides of the football in the on the line of scrimmage. Their offensive line is probably the best in the country. I know they weren't even nominated for the Joe Moore Award, but they just have insane talent on their offensive line, including Francis Mauigoa and Markel Bell, probably the best tackle duo in college football, maybe with the exception of Utah. But you can't say enough about how clean they were able to keep Beck and whenever they have Beck, it's not like Beck lit the world on fire, but whenever they have to go to the passing game, you know that Beck's going to have time and going to be able to operate in the pocket and make the decisions that he has to when Miami's relying on that, and that's a huge advantage in all of these playoff games because you saw with saying they didn't have the same, he was not afforded the same time and opportunity. And I just want to back up everything we've been saying about Bain and Mesidor with some stats. So I pulled these from PFF earlier, just sack numbers. Well, PFF says that Bain and Mesidor both have 11 sacks, but officially, uh, Mesidor has 10 and a half and Bain has 8.5. So they've combined for 19 sacks, just the two of them this year for Miami, which is a very significant number in college football. And Ruben Bain has 74 pressures, according to PFF this year, including 8 in this game. Mesidor has 61 and had 6 in this game. So that just backs up the fact that whenever they needed to get pressure on Sane, and whenever you line those guys up in pass rush situations, you're going to have a really distinct advantage over basically any team you play. And I'm not sure with the path ahead of them, I'm not sure there's any more teams left in their way where you'd be like, these guys aren't going to show up and these guys aren't going to be able to have an impact. And that's a huge advantage for Miami going into the semifinal and potentially the national championship round. So just overall, unbelievable performance by them. I'll admit every fault and every told you so coming my way. I was way off on this game, but seriously impressed by Miami's performance.
Yeah, I mean, and one guy I'd like to shout out, which is somebody that we talked about. We thought the coordinator edge went to Ohio State in this game. We thought Ryan Day versus what is it? Holder Sam, give me it again.
Corey
Heatherman.
Etherman.
Yeah, Corey Heatherman. And then we also the bigger one we thought was Shannon Dawson going against Matt Patricia, and Patricia's Ohio State defense looked really good. And Shannon Dawson did a wonderful job, not only constructing the game plan, but making some key play calls. The play where Fletcher scores on like the red zone where they do fake QB counter and then just flip it out to him, and he just completely out leveraged the defense, walk in touchdown. That was really impressive and just a schemed up play. But it also helps when you're just in third and two and third and fours all day. And Carson Beck looked really comfortable, which, like you said, Duska, that was not the case with Julian Saying. Julian Saying, like Jeremiah Smith is unbelievable. Like obviously with him and I mean next year, I just don't. That's gonna be really tough to stop all year, and you couldn't stop him this year. But there was a lot of third and nines where there's just Bain and Mesidor and even Marquise Lightfoot, the backup edge number 12, who was also getting after the quarterback. They're just breathing down Sain's face. So you put Beck in a really tenable situation. You ran the football, and you just physically imposed your will all game for the Hurricanes. And Shannon Dawson, though, I shout out him for just good game plan. Just gave Beck I mean, what Beck throw for like 134 and a touchdown, like pretty
He threw
efficient.
for, I have it right here. It was like 100. Carson Beck, 138, a
Yeah,
touchdown.
yeah,
And he had 13 straight completions at one point.
yeah. So, dude, the guy
So
was just on
efficient.
fire, super efficient. And
Also,
you go.
yeah, sorry, go ahead, finish
No,
up.
I was just saying that I think their aggregate playmaking at receiver has been better than I thought. I think Marion and CJ Daniels, anytime they need a play, like they get it and they get separation on a lot of really good DBs. And Ohio State secondary is nothing to wince an eye at.
And I think one thing that just reinforces everything we've been saying about Miami and the thing that was most impressive to me in this game was at one point in the fourth quarter it was 17-14. Ohio State definitely had a chance to come back and win the game. Miami got the ball with 5 minutes left in the game, and they went on a 10-play, 70-yard drive where they were just cracking runs
Yeah.
with Fletcher and getting conversions when they needed to, and they were able to punch it in with 55 seconds left on the clock. And when you can take the ball, eat up the other team's timeouts, and just put the game away like that against what a lot of people have considered to be the best defense in college football all year. I mean, the sky's the limit for your team, and that was, I mean, that's championship stuff, and was seriously impressive. So like we're just basically saying like Miami's so legit. I didn't expect it to look like this in this game, but with the way that they won this game against a team that I think is very good, and I think you guys would agree, it's just hard, pretty impressive, and they're going to be hard to deny.
Another quick thing about Miami, what I thought was super impressive too, was when, like you just said, Duska, was when Ohio State made that little push. It just felt like Miami was so calm in a game that no one really gave them a chance in, and they felt like they belonged in that situation. They dominated the game. So that's a really good testament to the staff over there and what they were able to put together on a game plan wise and just mental wise, because they were awesome, and a lot of credit to them.